All right, ready to dig into WriteMapper 3 today. We're diving into using mind maps to really level up your writing. You sent over a whole stack of articles about it, reviews, blog posts, even some lively debates on Reddit, it looks like. Seems like people have some strong feelings about this tool.
Yeah, definitely seems to be some buzz around it. And what's interesting is like the different types of articles, tech people, writers who use it all the time, even some folks writing about tablet apps. So we're getting like a 360 view on this WriteMapper 3.
I like it. So, just for anyone who's totally new to this whole thing, how would you sum up, like, what is WriteMapper 3?
So in a nutshell, it's a writing tool, but the foundation of it is mind mapping. And from looking at these articles, what seems to really make it different is how it actually puts those two things together. So the visual side of mind maps with actually, getting the writing done.
Okay, that makes sense, but, like, practically, what does that actually look like?
So say you're working on something big, like a big research paper or even a whole book, right? So instead of staring at a blank page, you start by making a mind map in WriteMapper 3. And each of those nodes, they could be chapters, they could be your key arguments, they could be scenes, even like whatever makes sense for what you're working on.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, but I feel like other mind mapping tools do that too, right?
Yeah, but here's where it gets different. WriteMapper 3 lets you move from that outlining stage to actually writing those chapters, those arguments, those scenes, all in the same tool.
So you're not just like brainstorming in the mind map. You can go from there to like full paragraphs, pages, even like whole chapters without leaving.
Exactly. It's really made for that longer form writing, not just quick little notes. Actually, one Reddit user said they wrote 25,000 words in 3 weeks using WriteMapper 3.
Wow, a whole novel in 3 weeks. That's either crazy impressive or a little scary.
Yeah. Well, it definitely says something about the focus that it seems to encourage, which, a lot of writers have trouble with that, right? Especially now when there are like a million distractions all the time.
For sure. And actually, speaking of distractions, one thing I noticed in these articles is they talk about WriteMapper 3's design. Like they keep saying it has this really clean interface, which honestly is refreshing. So many programs are just so cluttered.
Yeah, it's all about like getting those distractions out of the way and just letting the words come out. And, for you, like you love a clean aesthetic and you like things to be efficient, so that could be a big plus. No more getting lost in menus and toolbars.
I'm all about that, keeping it clean and simple. But what about formatting? If it's super minimalist, can you even like bold text or make headings?
Good question. Yeah, they've got you covered. It supports Markdown, so you can do the simple codes for formatting if you like, or you can just use their shortcuts, whatever you prefer.
Now, I know you work with a bunch of different blogging platforms. Some of them can be kind of picky about formatting, right? Would that Markdown support be a game changer?
Oh, totally. Instead of having to like wrangle with the formatting rules for every single platform, I could just do it all in WriteMapper 3
Hmm.
with the Markdown, and it would just like translate over smoothly. It'd be way more efficient for sure.
Now that is what I like to hear. So,
Yeah.
okay, we've got a minimalist tool that works with Markdown, and it's supposed to help you write like a million words an hour. But what about the actual features? Are there any like cool things about WriteMapper 3 that these articles were excited about?
Oh, yeah, definitely. This is where it gets interesting. There's this feature called Absorb Children. So,
Hmm.
you're looking at your mind map and you realize that like a whole section, it should really be part of a bigger idea.
Right.
With WriteMapper, you just drag and drop to merge them, and it reorganizes the whole document automatically.
Hold on. So instead of like going back and forth between my mind map and my draft and moving paragraphs around, I can just like drag and drop things visually. That's kind of cool.
Right, like magic, but for your writing. And it really shows how WriteMapper 3 is so good at that back and forth between outlining and actually writing.
Yeah.
But there's this other feature, and even the tech people were kind of confused by it.
You mean the one where you can delete something from your mind map, but all the stuff under it, it's like it all gets promoted?
That's the one. It's called, get this, delete node,
Rip.
keep children. Honestly, I can see how it could be useful sometimes.
Okay, I need an example because that just sounds messy. Like kicking someone off a committee but letting their projects keep going without them.
I get what you mean. Okay, so think
Yeah.
of it like brainstorming on a whiteboard, right? So you've got your main theme in the middle and a bunch of ideas around it branching out. But then you realize, actually, that main theme isn't quite right, but the ideas around it, those are good. So instead of erasing everything, you can use this delete node, keep children, to get rid of the main theme, but keep all those good ideas and then connect them to a new main theme.
Okay, yeah, that's a really good way to think about it. So it's not really deleting, it's more like refining your ideas as you go.
Exactly. And this all goes back to what we were saying before about focus and just letting your ideas flow. WriteMapper 3 gives you that freedom to try things out, to like restructure your ideas without being scared of losing something important, like having a safety net for your creativity.
I like that. Okay, but let's be real. All this talk about features and stuff makes me think about, well, the price. Some of these articles said WriteMapper 3 is a little expensive.
Yeah, that's something people always think about with writing software, especially with free options out there, right?
Totally. So break it down, like what are we talking about price-wise?
So it seems like they do a one-time payment, which a lot of people seem to like, no subscription or anything, just one price, and you're done. Most of the articles mention $49.95, but one blogger said they paid $89, so maybe there are different versions.
Okay, so not exactly cheap, especially for someone like me who's always tempted by shiny new apps. You're all about budgeting, so like, honestly, what do you think about that price?
For a one-time thing, and if you think about the time you could save and how much more you might get done, it might be worth it, if you're serious about writing. But it really depends on what you need and how much you'll actually use it.
That's fair. And this is where those missing features, the ones some people complained about, that matters, right?
Yeah.
No cool fonts, no highlighting. What else was there?
Right. One reviewer specifically mentioned the fonts being limited, no highlighting, and you can't resize images in the notes.
I practically live and die by my highlighter, so that's a tough one.
I hear you. I think it goes back to that whole minimalism thing they're going for. Like, they're saying all the extra stuff, even though it can be nice, it actually clutters everything up and you get distracted.
So it's a trade-off, right?
Yeah.
Simplicity for like a more focused experience.
Exactly. But there's another thing. Remember we saw something about AI integration.
AI in a writing tool. It feels very like future of writing, but also kind of mysterious. Did these articles actually explain how it works?
Yeah, so from what I got, the AI stuff in WriteMapper 3 can help you like come up with topics, actually generate some content, even like make your writing better. One blogger said they had some trouble getting their OpenAI key to work or something, but it seems like once you get it going, it could be really useful.
Okay, so it could be a big time saver, but maybe a little tricky to set up. Makes sense. Going back to those missing features we talked about, like no highlighting and stuff, do you think those would be less of a big deal if the AI can like really help your writing in other ways?
Hmm, that's a good point, and it really shows what the trade-offs are here. I mean, if WriteMapper can help you come up with better ideas, organize your thoughts, maybe even make your writing style better, those other things might not matter as much. It's about like finding what works for how you write. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And that brings us to you listening right now. We've talked a lot about WriteMapper 3, the design, the features, the good and the bad, even some AI stuff. But what does it all mean for you when you're actually writing?
Imagine this. You sit down to write, but instead of that blank page, you open WriteMapper 3, and you just start making a mind map of all your ideas. You can move chapters around, you get those ideas down, you even have the AI giving you suggestions, and it's all in this really clean interface. That sound good?
I've got to say, it does sound pretty tempting. Especially that whole rearranging chapters thing, like, yes, please. But really, I think the really cool thing about a tool like this is that it could actually change how we think about writing.
Totally. All these articles, they keep talking about that balance between like thinking visually and then actually getting the words on the page. And it seems like WriteMapper 3 really connects those two in a cool way. So here's something to think about. Could using something like this make you a better writer? More organized, more creative even, more productive?
Maybe all of the above. It really makes you stop and think about how the tools we use, how they affect the work we do, the creative stuff.
Exactly. And in the end, the only way to know if WriteMapper 3 is for you is to, give it a try, see how it fits into how you write. We'd love to hear what you think.
Until then, happy writing.